Off and running we go on a Tuesday. It's December 9th. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. It is officially week 15 of this NFL regular season. We'll get into what transpired last night on Monday Night Football for the Chargers, and friend of the show, Tony Jefferson, who certainly walked away heroic. But we've got a lot to discuss, including a featured guest segment with our guy, Derek Coleman from All 22 Films, who joins us in 25 minutes from right now for a Tuesday film breakdown. But first, John Harbaugh, Sarah, sat down as he always does on Mondays with reporters for his Monday press conference, and he was given permission by the NFL to share something that they told him in terms of an admission. One of the three calls they admitted were wrong, and that had to do with the Travis Jones unnecessary roughness call. So we'll get into all that and more, including an update from Glenn Clark, courtesy of Tracy Wolfson, who was the sideline reporter for CBS on Sunday, in terms of more details on the Daniel Fa'alele-Lamar Jackson exchange on the sideline that she reported about in-game. So all that and more is what we have coming up. Thanks to Manta Sleep for the continued support. Great to see you, partner, and welcome everybody into this Tuesday show.
And welcome to you. But yeah, I'm trying to decide if it makes me feel better or worse. I think better that they admitted that one of the plays that they called, which was on Travis Jones and the unnecessary roughness, was wrong. But it's also like, ooh, that's an extra 4 points. And you know, you always do this what if, you go back and it's like, oh, well, then that final drive could have been for a field goal instead of trying to go for a touchdown. All that runs through. But you do always appreciate when people do say they got things wrong. But he talked about that and many other things. I think you've got the video.
Yeah, funny enough, there were a little bit of error in our pre-show there with the Twitter download tool. So if you could actually find a way on your end, my Twitter download tool is not working. So in the meantime, listen to John, though, talk about what transpired, which is an unusual thing the day after a game. It's only happened twice this year, related to a conference call between him, other Ravens key members of the front office, and the league up in New York. Listen to this.
You'd send the play in on the punt return, on the punt holding penalty, and this. If I can go back to the conversation you had about the replay play and the Travis Jones play, was that call you guys initiated this morning, and is that unusual for you to do?
Yes and yes. That's not. I think I've done it one other time this year so far. I'll say this: Perry Fuel, Walt Coleman are great. You know, those are the two guys that interact with the coaches directly. We don't get to interact with anybody else, whoever else there is back there behind the scenes. But those two guys are the guys that relate to the coaches. And anytime I've ever called those guys, I mean, I've known those guys for over 20, close to 28 years, both those guys. And they're excellent and they're honest. And sometimes it's tough on them to explain it. So I understand that too.
All right. So again, there were three different areas addressed. Obviously, as we now well know, we've spent the last couple of days working through that. The one that you probably came here to hear about, as it's titled, Wrongdoing, is related to the unnecessary roughness call on a Chris Boswell chip shot from 32 yards out. It was assessed to 98. That's Travis Jones. And that is, as John Harbaugh was given permission to say from the league, wrong. Shouldn't have happened. Listen to this.
Discuss with them the Travis Jones call, or is that another? Do you go a different process because that one didn't go through?
We did discuss the Travis Jones call as well. And the Travis Jones call, they told me I had permission to state this, that it was a wrong call. It should not have been called.
They told you that?
Yes.
Meanwhile, and have you had any success over there on your end? Okay.
Yeah, it might be a little overlap. He's going to talk about Travis Jones and Aaron Rodgers.
Conversation with the league office, and they were gracious enough to spend a lot of time on the phone with myself and Eric and Tony Mahalik, and we appreciate that. It didn't clear anything up. It didn't make it any easier to understand in either one of the two calls. They're very hard to understand how they get overturned, but they did, and that's where it stands. Am I comfortable? No. Do I think there needs more clarification? Yeah, it's about as clear as mud right now. That's how I feel about it. And the Travis Jones call,
and then, so then he's going to repeat the Travis Jones thing there. So Yeah, he mentioned in there.
Fox 45 locally, Morgan Ads had spliced that all up there, and that's what I was having trouble downloading. So sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so Ravens definitely should have had 4 points back. They got the Travis Jones thing wrong, which is dumb. It was so clear. They should know the rules. They clearly, both Travis Jones and the other defensive tackle on the other side, were trying to shoot the gap. They should be able to, the way, and even the pool reporter that responded to Jeff's Rebeck, the way they made it sound like, oh, well, he's defenseless. They initiated contact, and that's not the rule. You should be able to try to block an extra point or a field goal in this case, all that kind of stuff. So that is dumb. Now, he didn't sound like he feels any better about what would happen with Isaiah Likely versus Aaron Rodgers. He calls it, the rule is clear as mud. I would agree. I mean, he's extending the arm. Why do you even need to in the end zone when you can have 2 feet in for inbounds or 2 feet in the end zone, or just break the plane, like all of that. But then all of a sudden there needs to be a third football move if you're in like the center of the end zone. But had he like toe tapped it and then went out, like that would have been fine. So it really does make no sense. It is clear as mud. But I like that he's, trying to be gracious. And the other thing he says, I don't know how it gets overturned. Again, clear and obvious is supposed to be the standard. That was not the standard set on those 2 plays that they overturned.
Listening to Mike Florio this morning too, who stays on top of the league on a number of different issues. He was getting after the league office, as he refers to as going rogue when it comes to the clear and obvious language that you just referenced there. And there is clearly, pun intended here, inconsistencies that got to get taken care of moving forward. Remember, the owners create the rules, and the owners ultimately allow for clear and obvious to be reviewable. Well, clearly there's a disconnect between the priorities of the owners from a rulemaking standpoint and the way it's being levied on the field by their officials, who are their employees, and then ultimately how it's being monitored by the league office. I don't even know if monitor is the right word either, because who is monitoring this? Who is overseeing this? I don't know if there's any clarity all the way up to New York on answers for that.
Yeah, no, and ultimately there's always going to be somebody that has to make the ultimate decision. And so in some ways we try to like help the referees out because it's all in real time. So the theory is that when you have a camera and you can look at it in real time, that you should be able to make a better call. But even with all the camera angles, that was not the case. But we've talked about that. We now know what the league is standing pat on, what they're admitting to. Harbaugh did talk about a few other things. Remember that 3rd and 2 late in the 4th quarter? Remember that got stuffed and it was like, what the heck was that? Like Lamar and Derrick Henry were kind of like talking to each other. Didn't look like they were on the same page. So Derrick Henry moves over. Lamar takes a snap. He and Henry just kind of stand there almost. And he finally gives it to Henry, and Henry's already met in the backfield by a defensive lineman. Harbaugh says that's on him. That's on the coaching staff. There was a miscommunication between the box and the field.
3rd and 2, right before the 4th and 5. Yeah. What broke down?
We just didn't. As you look back on it, I mean, it was. It's crazy that happened. And I don't think we had an understanding between the box and the field in terms of what we wanted to do there. And that's communication. We got to take responsibility for that on the coaching side. So, I'll take responsibility for that one. That's. It shouldn't happen. We thought we were going to be okay with the formation, and it didn't turn out we were, So if I had to do it again, I definitely would have called timeout if I'd have known that, felt that way.
Remember, that was a loss of 3, and that set up the Mark Andrews deflected pass that perhaps was intended, sure looks like it was intended in the slow-mo replay side of things for DeAndre Hopkins, who was creasing across the back of the end zone, Sarah. And that was the second to last drive for the Ravens. And it clear, to walk away pointless there was gutting. And there's a conversation to be had maybe, in another life, or maybe after the season's over, as you look back at the nitty gritty of whether or not they made the right decision to go for it there on 4th and 5, rather than trotting Tyler Loop out there. I would be receptive to at least the argument or the debate behind that. But they opted obviously to go for it and came up short. And
again, I've said this before. I mean, it's just so frustrating because the play was there. This is unacceptable right here, where you're on 3rd and 2 and you just have miscommunication between the box. You thought you were in the right formation. Like this is 18 years of head coaching. I mean, I'm sure Todd Monken had a part of it too. That's, I don't know how many years he's been coaching and calling plays, but it's been a long time. And you just can't let your players down like that. And then on the very next play, again, I'm fine with going for it. And it did look like DeAndre Hopkins was wide open. I mean, there's just a series of unfortunate things that continued to happen to the Ravens in the red zone. And so to your point, having the conversation of, again, against a team like the Steelers, where it's usually not high scoring, but they were having success with that fade ball and going deep. In a low scoring game, I'd be like, yeah, go for 3. But when they had 27, you're in the 4th quarter. I don't hate it. I just hate that this botched play went down, and then there was the Mark Andrews deflected pass. But speaking of DeAndre Hopkins that you just brought up there, Harbaugh said, and one other thing, Harbaugh also said that the tempo on the final drive wasn't good enough. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, I guess we'll leave it at that. But
there was no urgency. There was no urgency. There was no
18 years of head coaching. Why? And I don't know if like the penalties played into it and got into their head or whatnot. I don't know. But then finally, DeAndre Hopkins, as I was teasing, he wants to get DeAndre Hopkins more involved. I mean, great. It's like Keaton Mitchell took too long. Can we get this in sooner than later with DeAndre Hopkins?
DeAndre Moore, he got a couple throws. Just kind of sometimes it's just the way the game goes a little bit, but he's not out there all the time. He's not, I don't think he's at the stage of his career where he's going to play every play, So, when he's out there, you really want to, and we've talked a lot about this, trying to be intentional about him being out there for specific purposes and to do the things that he does well, which we all kind of know what those things are. So I will say that, like, if you go back and you watch the game, you're going to see him playing his tail off. I mean, he's running routes. He's fighting to get open. He's blocking. He's competing. He's doing everything he can, and that's what I admire about him and love about him. He's just become one of my favorite players ever, and we are gonna be friends for a long time, and he and I have had a lot of these conversations. But yes, this next game and these next 4 games and into the playoffs, let's get him involved more. We really need to try to do that. We have been trying to do it. We can do it. It hasn't fallen for us, but I still believe he's going to make plays for us that are going to matter.
They were 7 for 18 on 3rd down on Sunday against the Steelers, and that's where he can be such a savvy specialist. Use him more without directly calling out Todd there. Is this yet another example as you look back at this season, whether it's naming Todd specifically early on in the year, or in this case, making a plea, throwing it out there, we got to get him more involved. He will be more involved moving forward. As you kind of read the tea leaves here, is there a philosophical disconnect between the play caller and the head coach? We just heard about the disconnect or on between the field and the box. One of his previous answers. It's been an interesting trend that obviously is who knows if that rears its ugly head and comes to a head this offseason, Sarah, with a change in that regard. But it hasn't been good enough. Hasn't been good enough in the red zone. Hasn't been good enough staying consistent with the run over the course of the entire season. Obviously, drops have been an issue. Lamar's health has been an issue. And all of a sudden, you look at a perfect storm. But those were some interesting comments there from Harbaugh.
Yeah, I wasn't picking up that he was like on a different page with Todd Monken. Maybe he is. That's not what I was picking up from it. He definitely saying is we need to do this. We haven't done it yet. It hasn't fallen that way. And so whether it's a him thing or a Todd thing, I don't know. But we just 3 things in a row was a coaching issue on Sunday. There was the 3rd and 2 miscommunication. There was not having the team ready in a fast enough tempo for the 2-minute drive. And then there's not getting DeAndre Hopkins involved enough. Clearly, they already know that they didn't get Keaton Mitchell involved enough. I think they're not getting Emory Jones involved enough, but we'll do that on the next segment.
And not to mention, earlier on in the season with, there's a trend, no doubt, and some levels of evidence there, as you just mentioned. Let's get to a read. Coach Coleman will join us in 10 minutes. We look forward to having all 22 films analysis on the way that Pittsburgh's defended Lamar Jackson effectively is what we're going to look at. But of course, we got to start with the offensive line and Coach Coleman's thoughts, which we will do. But before we get there, Manta Sleep continues to support our program. And you guys have been using the discount code so much so that it literally hit its limit. So we reached out to the folks at Manta, and guess what? That thing's active again. That's the bottom line. Vault 10, VAULT10. They've reinstated, reactivated the code, I should say. It'll get you 10% off your next purchase. So consider checking out their sleep masks this holiday season. I'm toggling for those of you in live formatting and on YouTube. For the audio-only audience, you can go to the show notes below to take a look at what it is that we're looking at right now. All the sleep masks give you true 100% blackout. They come built with C-shaped eye cups. It's comfortable. It's easy to sleep with. It's comforting. You got ultra-thin headphones in this sound mask, the new generation. 0 eye pressure is applied to your eyelids. And they got these advanced materials that are built with ventilation for unmatched breathability. And that's just one of the many things that they have to offer to enhance your sleep. You can get into the sleep earplugs game for those of you that travel or maybe stay in hotels throughout your weeks. The white noise machines. I know the Ellison and Trossett families are an advocate of those for more optimal sleep. The sleep add-ons, there's a ton of different options there. And then, of course, the bundles are great holiday gifts, whether that be for stocking stuffers or just simply for your loved ones. So go check it out. We have all that information for you in the show notes. If you're live with us right now, there's also a couple live chat pinned comment right now with that link. So appreciate you, Manta. Let's get to some super chats. We'll talk about the offensive line and bring in DC in 9 minutes. Prophet Q has become our newest channel member. So welcome to channel membership, Prophet. You are officially a VAULTRON. Rave is with us today, partner.
Rave says, please tell me we're going to talk about John's ego and gaslighting of the offensive line, saying they're good and saying Emery wasn't better than Fa'alele. We are getting to the offensive line stuff right after these super chats.
CJ, do you feel that Vegas influences these decisions? I'm sure it sure seems like it with how they officiate some games. You know, another thing that I was listening to this morning from Mike Florio quickly on this is, you know, he's just like, look, with the inconsistency of specifically, right, the way that the Aaron Rodgers play ultimately was deemed, when you go match that up and stack it up against the Isaiah Likely play, it opens up the interpretation or opens up the option for CJ to make a comment like this and not feel like it's particularly out of bounds. So,
right. So
yeah,
it's like, is a third move needed or not? Do you have to survive the ground or not? Like you can't implement that third. And by the way, in Aaron Rodgers' case, I don't even know that he had possession. Like to me, both the second part and the third part of what makes a catch is in question. But let's say he had possession, which I don't think he did based off the hand placement. But like, do we need to do the third thing or not? Like, why are we picking and choosing? And if we were going to pick and choose, to me, it would be the end zone where you don't, because it broke the plane.
Even if it is a tie that goes to the offensive player, like the runner in baseball, like have that extra layer of context so that this can be clear and obviously decided on, so that we're not spending a Tuesday 48 hours after the game getting back into this.
But just to answer his question, I can't let my mind go there. I know there are instances like Chauncey Billups or whatever. Clearly things seep in. I can't see it on a NFL highest up. It's corrupt, this and that. But I will say this, they're leaving themselves open for people to ask those questions. And by making a deal with the gambling companies in the first place, and then knowing that refereeing, especially with NFL replay, is inconsistent like that, you are leaving yourself wide open for those questions.
That's essentially the perfect English for what I was trying to get at, you know, instantly reacting to that super chat. And then to your point, not just Chauncey Billups in the NBA, there have been a barrage of these incidents popping up across all professional sports in recent months. And you wonder if it's only just beginning. Captain says, don't blame the refs. Quote, we had plenty of chances, is a quote that he says here. Wright had a chance to hold them to 3, overturned, had a chance to force a turnover. We did overturn it. Had a chance to take the lead. We did overturn. And you're making me sound crazy, Captain, because of 1, the run-on sentence, and 2, your English. Thanks for the super chat. Prophet Q is with us with a $20 super chat today.
What's up, Prophet? He says, finished yesterday's show, and all I could think was a grudging Sarah woof. Love the passion, perspectives, and most of all, respect. you two as you bring the amazing content that has become part of my daily routine. We appreciate that, Prophet. There was a lot of passion, and there is mutual respect despite our passionate disagreements.
Yeah, Prophet's been popping up of late as well. I feel like he or she has been throwing a bunch of super chats around lately, which we appreciate. Dark Thunder 35 says Harbaugh talks like he has no influence on the game. Is he our head coach or a mega church pastor? And another one from Captain.
Both. I like the faith stuff personally, but he's got to step it up as the head coach for sure. And he did take accountability in a lot of those, which I know people have been asking for. Captain Hart, but that doesn't excuse it. Captain Hart says the article about him, John called him out. I think he's talking about Monken. Ronnie called him out, kind of. Then also Daniel said they know what's coming. Todd might be done, says Captain Hart.
Interesting. We didn't even add in the whole articles, right, from that 1-5 world that they were living in, or probably a couple months ago at this point. So yeah, there is a decent amount of evidence to suggest that Todd Monken is obviously not above blame. John Harbaugh is not above blame, and we'll figure it out in the next couple months whether or not a change is necessary there. Steve Bisciotti's got to make that decision first and foremost, and if John's still around, obviously he's got to make that call on his offensive play caller. Well, Glenn Clark Radio, we've used his stuff before. He had a chance to catch up with Tracy Wolfson, who was the CBS sideline reporter in game on Sunday but for the Ravens and Steelers. And remember her report, Sarah, that is actually included in the clip that we're about to share with you right now. She has an update and more clarity on what took place between Daniel Fa'alele and Lamar Jackson in game on the sideline. Listen to this.
Frustration brewing on the Ravens sideline after that interception. Lamar threw his helmet. He then had a talk with right guard Daniel Fa'alele, who said they know it's coming every time. And then Zay Flowers came over as well, added to the discussion. It's just all hands on deck to try to get this offense going, guys.
Yeah, look, we get snippets. We can see and only report what we hear, right? Certain things. We can't report everything. That is not, our role. It was just communication, right? Just conversation between Lamar and look, Lamar rarely gets up and talk. It was Fa'alele that came over to him. Lamar rarely gets up and interacts, and a lot of the quarterbacks do that, by the way. They sit by themselves, they do their thing. And then there's other quarterbacks, who get up and go over and talk to their line and their wide receivers and running backs and are really involved. It's just the personalities of the quarterbacks. But Fa'alele felt like he had to come over and explain what was happening, felt like they saw something. And so, yes, I think it was misconstrued, that report, and I apologize if it came off that way. But it was just more along the lines of they're trying to figure something out here, right? They know something is off, and how can they fix it before it gets worse? And that was early in the game. I do still think there is some disconnect, or I don't really know. Like I said, it's one game, but there's definitely something off with the offense, and it could just be Lamar not feeling like Lamar.
All right, so listen, I do think that there was a little misconstruement there. I try to put it, I went back and rewound it a few times during commercial because I wanted to make sure, because I was like, you have a helmet flying off, you say there's a conversation, and then you said, somebody said they know it's coming every time. So I tried to just, on my Twitter, put out exactly what she said. Lamar Jackson threw his helmet down after the last offensive series and then had a conversation with Daniel Fa'alele. So I think having the helmet throw off and then saying he had a conversation made everybody think that it was a heated exchange between the two. I tried not to put that in my tweet. I saw other people describe it as a heated exchange. Then she said, who said they know it's coming? And at first I was like, is she saying Daniel Fa'alele said it's coming every time, or was it Lamar Jackson? So I think I went back to listen to that, and I do think it was pretty clear originally that she said that it was Daniel who said they know it's coming every time. Other people, and I can get why it felt this way, thought it was a heated exchange between the two of them. Here she's clarifying that it was actually Daniel who went to Lamar and not vice versa. That does change the picture a bit of whether, because if Lamar went to him and was frustrated with something, that's different than Daniel coming over and being like, Lamar, they know it's coming, like he's approaching him. I do think that changes things, but that still doesn't change the ultimate problem that's been going on throughout this entire season, and that's that Daniel Fa'alele's performance just isn't good enough and is constantly putting Lamar and the offense in dangerous positions.
putting John in a position, or which he's putting himself in, right? Because he's the ultimate guy that's making this call to Daniel, but the offensive line as a whole, which Jeff Zaribek did yesterday at his Monday press conference. Here is John talking about the offensive line and specifically 77.
With going forward, with the offensive line, we've asked you a lot about changes. Were you pleased how that group played as a whole on Sunday? I know there's been a lot of talk about Fa'alele's play and how he got beat on a couple of occasions. What did you see when you evaluated him, and as you continue to evaluate him?
Yeah, I just talked to George Moorhup about it. It's all in all, I thought the offensive line played well, all in all. And I thought the two tackles played two of their best games. Roger overset one time, got beat inside on a certain type of pass protection. Tyler played really well. I thought the guards played exceptionally well in the run game. I mean, they were moving people. They were wearing people out. So that was good to see. I thought they were mostly good in the pass game, but too inconsistent probably. There was two or three each of them had probably. Daniel had a couple in the pass game, and Andrew might have had one or two in the run game he wants back. But every player has plays they want back. I can think of one where Daniel was hard setting, like a hard play action, when it was more of a drop back pass type protection, got overextended and got beat like that. That really shouldn't happen. I mean, he should be setting a different way there. He knows that. So that was a mistake. Lots of other times it was good. We got beat toward the end on a two-man inside game, that we could have done a better job on. Keep Lamar clean right at the end of the game there. So things like that needed to be better from the interior guys.
It was funny because he just said, he's like, yeah, I thought they played well. And then he named like 4 or 5 plays that was bad. That was like bad. He's talking about the time that Daniel Fa'alele overextended and was beat. Like, did you hear him? Like, there was a snap in there. He's like, beat like that. I mean, we've seen the film. We've brought it up before. We showed the film the night of the game when we reacted, and then again. And it's just, and it's not like, oh yeah, everybody wants something back. Of course. Like, I'm sure that like Ronnie Stanley wants the very last sack that he allowed back, but like, it was literally like on the move. Lamar's running out. Like, it wasn't like this embarrassing, I whiffed for the 100th time this season. Like, it wasn't this like embarrassing thing. It's like, man, I wish I could have held out longer for Lamar, more type of a thing. Whereas like the stuff he's talking about with the guards are just so egregiously bad, to the point like it's not good that Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco knows your name. And by the way, shout out to Tracy. She did figure out his name. Called him Fa'alele original that night, and then started saying Fa'alele when she was on the Glenn Clark show. But when Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco on the nightcap know the right guard's name, and it's not because he's like a future Hall of Famer, that's not good. That's not like, oh yeah, he wants 1 or 2 plays back. Like, it's egregiously bad. And so like for John to even acknowledge that they like, and by the way, him saying that they were pretty good in run defense, or excuse me, run blocking, like we expected that. There was no Derek Harmon. There was like their defensive line isn't set. So they should have some type of success. But it could have been like why not have a 300-yard day? Because that's what the Bills almost did. And so it's like, okay, they bounced back in that area, but there were so many egregious things in the passing game. The fact that he even admitted those is more than what he's admitted in the past, because it was so egregious. You can't pretend it's not happening.
The grades in front of me right now, PFF, his guard play, his exceptional guard play. I've got it right here. Fa'alele finished with a 54.2 grade evaluation as a run blocker. Voorhees was 62.3. Those were the lowest 2 grades of the starting 5.
Say it again for Fa'alele.
54.2 as a run blocker. Voorhees was a 62.3 run blocker. Those are the 2 lowest. The 2 lowest among the starting 5. Pass protection, that's not enough for you? No, don't hold your breath on this one. Voorhees finished with a 68 flat as a pass protector. And Fa'alele at 39.4 actually wasn't the worst.
Who was the worst?
Rasheen, of course, at 33.5, who's been out-snapping the running backs in recent weeks because of his pass pro skill set.
Which is supposed to be like phenomenal. I guess that's better than having Derrick Henry out there just to make people think, right, that maybe it could be a run instead of a pass. Like, is Derrick Henry not better than a 33.5? Maybe Rasheen was just having a bad day.
Here's the crazy part.
We haven't gotten to the crazy part yet.
Well, here's the crazy part.
Crazy part times 4.
Here's another crazy part. Derek hit the 1,000-yard threshold this past weekend. As you know, we had a note on it in our post-game show. Where the heck was he this time last year? He was chasing the 2,000 threshold.
Yeah.
So anybody that wants to talk about a Derrick Henry fall off this offseason, I'm like literally going to walk away from the conversation because I want no part of it. It's not a Derrick Henry fall off, period. And that should be encouraging, though, for the Ravens, knowing that he's under contract for the next couple of years. And if they can get this figured out, which I don't know why we should feel confident that they will, because they were willing to go into this season with the current state of this offensive line in year 2 of the rebuild that we learned of prior to the 2023 season. But if for some reason, hopefully they figure it out, then Derrick's going to be right there back, just like he was in 2024 with them. Maybe not chasing after the 2,000 number, but it's certainly not a longevity issue.
I mean, is it possible that like he's, I don't know, taking a small step back? Possibly, but how can you even evaluate that with this offensive line play? Like, we can't say, oh, I feel bad for Lamar because of the offensive line, but Derrick Henry fell off for sure. You know what I mean? Like I just don't know how you can like separate the two. Here's what's interesting, Bobby. Like, I understand that Pro Football Focus and their grades are not the end all be all. I get that they don't know assignments, and that they might grade things differently than maybe than the Ravens grade things, or that other teams grade things. But I also know that they have enough respect around the league that teams do reach out to them for information. And I do think that they're like generally in the right spot. But for John Harbaugh to say they played exceptionally well in the run game, and the grades are 54.2 and 62.3, you're not even in the same vicinity. This isn't even like the same vicinity. This is for sure a coach trying to build up his guys. They were wearing people out. I mean, maybe by the fourth
I'll give you the rest of the
know.
grades from a comparison purpose. Would it be helpful if I give you the rest of the grades from the line? Rosengarten was the highest graded run blocker at 72.8. Linderbaum was 67.2. Ronnie was 63.1.
Oof.
And then again, Voorhees was 62.3. Alele was 54.2.
Oof. Well, and that makes – sorry, go ahead.
Just in pass pro, Roger graded out at 69.3. Linderbaum was 55.6. I already mentioned Fa'alele, a woeful 39.4. Voorhees was 68 flat. Ronnie, 82.9 in pass pro. So it's a great day against Pittsburgh's D-line.
And with those grades, you know, and again, they're not the end all be all, but they line up with what, you know, film study guys do in the Ravens community. Here's the kicker of all, like you just a minute ago, you're like, here's the crazy part. And I was like, we haven't hit the crazy part yet. And now here's another kicker on top of it all is Emory Jones, as we noted, got 0 snaps after getting, I think, 3 series the week before, rotating out with Andrew Voorhees. And Harbaugh was asked about that. And he said that Emory Jones didn't outplay the other guys. He says, he first said, he goes, Emory's in a great spot, but based on the performance, you couldn't say it's better. And then he pauses and then says, or even the same. So I don't know. This is tough for me because Emory Jones, granted it was a very small sample size, but I didn't see anything crazy like whiffing or falling on the ground or anything egregious like we see week in and week out. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our next guest who does watch tape, even though that's not the tape he's going to bring here today, but we wanted to get his reaction to John Harbaugh saying that they played exceptionally well, the 2 interior guards in the run game, had a couple plays they'd want back, and that Emory Jones didn't play better or even the same. So let's see what Coach has to say about that, Bobby.
Yeah, let's do it. Coach, you're at your wit's end. Derek Coleman joins us, all 22 Ravens film analysis. You know him. Another Tuesday film breakdown on deck here. Whatever the next step is, the next level after being at your wit's end, I would think you're probably like a mile down the road from that. So anyway, it's great to see you, and sorry that we have to begin on this topic, but please weigh in.
Yeah, you guys too. It's so funny. Like, first of all, thank you for having me again. It's always fun. When I join in, you guys are talking about offensive line PFF scores. I was gonna text Bobby and be like, "Nah, I can't do it today." I'm just kidding.
Whatever they are, you want to subtract 10 from every single one of them, don't you?
A couple of things. I will be up front. I'm a person that intentionally ignores PFF, but I will say this. Oftentimes, what I perceive and what I think I see from the film, it does pretty much line up. So I have to give that out there. Harbaugh shouldn't be saying Emory Jones didn't outplay them. Someone should be asking him to his face, why does he have to? Why does Emory Jones have to definitively outplay these guys that struggle? If it's not one, it's the other, or sometimes both at the same play. At wit's end, we all are, right? I mean, we're not, I don't think anybody's on a different page. I listened to, someone linked me up to, I think something you guys did yesterday. And Sarah was, I tried to comment twice, but I was like, no, I'm not going to be snarky, because I'm like, I'm on the exact same place, except you are like 12 months behind me.
Okay.
To be direct with you. I forget the game late last year, 2024. I think I went on like a 3-minute rant and was like, I just don't understand why this is acceptable, why this is good enough. So same place. Can we talk about that after we show the film or no?
Well, just real quick. You said, why does he have to? Are you saying that he should be able to get in there because he has a higher ceiling? These guys have had their shots, and he can improve. I mean, to me, it seems like you do want a player to play better than the one that you have in.
Yeah, it kind of almost, I'm old, so I can use this analogy, and I think a lot of people won't get it. You guys may not either. Like when video games first started to be somewhat realistic, you had this version of NHL hockey where you got to choose 3 players to create. One of them was really thin, quick, great stick skills, but he couldn't uphold to physicality. Another one was way on the other end, large boned, let's put it that way, physical, but couldn't move at all. And then you had the in-between guys. Obviously, the 3 guys we're talking about, Voorhees, Falele, and Emory Jones. I would say Emory Jones is like a strong, athletic guy, erring to the side of being larger and physical, but he's also athletic and quick. And I would say you've got a little bit of Voorhees athleticism, but not so weak and small that he gets pushed around so easily, and still some good size for a guard. So for me, I don't think he has to outplay them. He's a rookie, number 1, that we picked up. I need competition and some proof of improvement of consistency and technique, because we haven't had that. And so how are we going to get that with the same coaches doing the same drills every day and the same head coach, Harbaugh, giving us the same comments every week? Like, I need to see competition. I don't think people were wrong for calling for that in training camp. We were lied to. We were lied to by a lot of people. I won't call them out, but we were lied to about what Falele and Voorhees looked like in training camp. None of it was real.
All right.
Well,
on that note,
I was going to say, I guess the segue off of that before there's no talking you off the ledge, because you have to trust what your eyes tell you, and we know that you're in this, you're in this, like the way the film community is, snap by snap by snap.
I could be wrong. That's fine, but I'll stand there and tell you what I think. And so, I don't think that in this case, I would love to be proven wrong. I would love it if we finished the year on a 7-0 stretch and these guys were so badass that my comment section was full of people, hey, coach, you couldn't have been more off base here. But unfortunately, that hasn't been the way it's turned out in 2025.
I actually feel really similarly about a statement I made 2 months ago that they're cooked. I would love to walk myself back next month, 4 weeks from now, but I just don't feel very confident that's not going to be the case. Why we brought you here today, though, was as we kind of segue in terms of what's wrong with this offense, what's got it broken. They're not moving the chains consistently enough. They were 7 for 18 on third down. And while you're going to look at this, to use your word, globally, based on what Pittsburgh's done effectively on third down against Lamar over the years, it was a problem again, whether it was drops, schematics, and everything else in the nitty-gritty that you're about to discuss right now. It was a problem on Sunday. It's been effective and successful for the Steelers over the years in their one-on-ones with Lamar. So we're going to go ahead and bring up your film, and you can take it from here.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. I got 4 plays here loaded up to, just talk about some of the things that they do, the choices that they make schematically. So I think I've got 2 iterations of zone first, and then one that's heavy pressure, and then a typical coverage. You don't play certain coverages against Lamar. I believe that the Steelers generally are defending Lamar Jackson. Not that they're not trying to stop Derrick Henry or other players that we have, but I think most of their coverage choices are made with Lamar Jackson in mind. This is, of course, the one that everybody's talked about. The nickel DB for the Steelers are going to beat our starting right guard. I don't want to spend 8 minutes on it like I do in my videos, but it's an opportunity for us to look at what they're showing, and then how are we as an NFL offense in Week 14, and how many times we've played the Steelers. This is Monken's 3rd year, not able to have better answers for some of the things that they're doing. They're dropping out to like a Tampa 2. You can normally tell that it's a Tampa 2 because you get like a Mike linebacker. Sometimes it's a safety who's like, vertically going in the middle of the field. Some people, they call it, running the pipe between the hashes, basically, although the ball's on the left hash here. And it ends up working out. They end up getting a sack. I'm going to show the all-22 angle here in a moment. I'm not going to belabor the point about the right guard situation. Like, if we're not past that in 2026, we're going to be having these same conversations next. Actually, you all probably having this conversation with somebody else, because I won't be covering this shit the same way in 2026 if we have to talk about the same player. But so this is one of the things they do. The next iteration will be cover 3. And this is not specific to the Steelers, but they just do a really nice job when they get us in these third down situations of varying their look. I will say this, and this is probably going to be out of left field for some people. I would like to see us go heavier personnel when the ball's on the right hash against them, and go with our 11 or 12 personnel when the ball's on the left hash, and that's because of TJ Watt. Maybe I'll be able to expand on that a little bit later. But this nickel DB lined up with this look on Sunday oftentimes meant that he was blitzing. I think I'll show you another one of that a little bit later. So you can see how they do this. They drop out one of the OLBs, Highsmith. Man, he's a really good football player. So underrated. They drop him out, but they rush Watt and bring this DB, drop out to a Tampa 2. So 2 high safety structure. I think that's Chuck Clark. I know that my spot shadows actually darken the player. Get people still commenting on that. Like, it's the system that I use. I wish that I could tell them to change it. But in any case, it's a 2 high safety structure. Mike linebacker dropping out in the middle of the field. And what they're doing, in my opinion, is just elongating the amount of time by which Lamar Jackson recognizes things post-snap. Well, that's common sense. That's what you want to do to every quarterback, right? We try to do that. Simulate pressure, change the look post-snap, and then get to the quarterback. It hasn't worked for us in 2025, right? What do we got? 19 sacks? 20?
Yeah, 19.
Yeah.
I think Garrett has
not
just
enough.
as many as us, if not more. Yeah, not enough, right? So it's just a simulated pressure look, right? Like I showed that earlier, simulated pressure look. And then they're dropping out one OLB into the boundary. The Steelers' structure, their system, where we can somewhat start to predict certain things, is dependent on the hash. And what I mean by that is, when I said earlier, I'd like to see the ball on the right hash, base personnel, that's because they generally, and this is going back decades, are dropping the OLB to the boundary. Well, that's what most teams do. They don't want to put that player, a pass rush guy, in a ton of space to the field, right? In any case, that they generate a sack here. I want to show the next play, kind of roll right into it, because I think they're connected, even though they're on different possessions. This is 3rd possession, and this is really hearkening back to, I think, maybe the first time that you guys had me on the show, where I talked about the Lions using what I called a 3+1 rush. They're gonna roll with cover 3, And again, the ball is on the right hash, so the outside linebacker that's into the boundary here is TJ Watt. Well, guess what? He's the guy that's dropping out. The outside linebacker to the field is functionally the +1, the fourth rusher, the spy, as most people would refer him to. So they've dropped 8 out in coverage. And again, they've done it from a look. This is before Malik Harrison got hurt. Hopefully, has there been an update on him? Hopefully he's okay.
I haven't heard anything personally.
That was tough to watch. I mean, Derrick Henry obviously is made of granite. It's so random how that happens. But in any case, it's a cover
Darnell
3.
Washington went down in concussion protocol. Malik Harrison goes down in concussion protocol. PQ was limbering off. I mean, they were banged up.
Physical game. Some of their guys have to give the Steelers credit. Some of their guys that came back, Queen was one of them, came back into the game. DK Metcalf, that's ridiculous that he stepped on the field and became a gunner with 2 when they punted from the end zone. Regardless of what people want to say about DK Metcalf, got to give him credit, right? Yeah. So it's a 3+1 rush. So they're just varying the look. And I just feel like a lot of these things are the Steelers throwing, basically like a Major League Baseball pitcher, throwing different pitches at Lamar, making him have to adjust post-snap. The best thing for us to do when we face the Steelers is avoid these situations altogether, right? As often as possible, not get into 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. But when we do, there has to be some times where that right there is what we almost coach our guy to do. If they drop out in zone and you've got a lane, we need you to take off. We don't know what that last game's going to, it's the last week of the season, right? In Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yep.
If we need that game, we're going to try to win it. It's not wrong for fans to say, I'd be okay if we don't get a first place schedule. I'd be okay if we don't end up in the playoffs. I understand that. I do. But Lamar is going to try to win the game. Our team's going to try to win the game. This is the same play. So with the ball on the right hash, like I said, this is the OLB that's dropping out. Now, Herbig is actually dropping out as well. I actually just did a video on this where I included this play. Watch the little communication that happens between Peppers. I think that's Peppers, 40, and Herbig. The communication is Peppers saying, hey, I've got the flats. So this is Peppers right up here. I know there's a lot on screen, sorry. And Herbig is the guy with the delayed rush. So when I say that they defend Lamar, I'm using this specific play to try to, quote, prove it. The 3+1 is, it's used, across the league in different teams, but we didn't see it a lot really until week 3 with Detroit. And we've started to see it pop up more, especially these teams dropping out in zone post-snap on cover 3. Herbig's unable to get to Lamar. We know he scrambles. I think that we've got to play a more conservative style against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would liken it to a boxer who's really good at dragging you down into an infighting, not necessarily a slugfest, but not. We want to play a more up-tempo style. And I think we want the score. We would prefer to beat them 34-14, right? And blow them out. But I just don't think that's the dynamic here. In my opinion, some of these 3rd and 4s, we've got to maybe recognize that there's a good chance they're probably going to confuse us post-snap just because they're really good at varying their looks. Is any of this making sense, or have I gone off on a tangent?
This is phenomenal. Yeah. I got a question about some of the layups that Lamar has been missing, because this was great, right? I mean, you're showing that's a high level processing. He reads the zone, bang, taking it for 9 yards, moving the chains, and showed a level of mobility there that was encouraging, right? Based on what we've seen aside from the last couple of weeks, including Thanksgiving, where I think he's taken a step forward in mobility. What's up with the layups in the flats, right? To Rasheen, to Derek. What's up with the inaccuracies there? Is it footwork? Is it processing? Is it missing Wednesday practices, as Matt Ryan suggested it might be from a polish standpoint? What say you?
Yeah, I don't think there's one answer. There's probably 3 or 4, and it's dependent upon the play at times. I'm willing to give credit to the Steelers for altering the look post-snap, so you've got a lot to process, obviously, in the 2.5 to 2.8 seconds. I will say this. I saw more drops on the film than I remembered during the game live. The one to Bateman was frustrating. We've got a first down there, maybe inside the 10 or whatever, and I think we end up with a field goal. in that situation. That one bothered me. I mean, I think Lamar has had some times where he's a little inaccurate. The one to Flowers on a slot fade in the from this perspective, it would be the end zone down here to the right on a third down that led to the first field goal on the first possession. That one I thought was underthrown to me. And he's normally on the slot fades. He's normally put the ball out in front. If we do miss, we miss on the other side. So I don't know. I felt like I saw more drops than I saw inaccuracies in the game. Maybe I'm just not remembering some of them.
I thought more than anything, if I were to critique Lamar, is that he had a couple checkdowns that he could have taken and didn't. But overall, I felt like his accuracy issues was really against the Bengals. I thought it was much improved against the Steelers, and I, like you, saw more drops.
Yeah, and even against the Bengals, I mentioned this in the video I talked about today. Like, you kind of think about the turnovers and the overall output, and then you recall, okay, we did throw a touchdown to Zay Flowers. We did throw a touchdown to Isaiah Likely that would have changed the dynamic, even though we're all frustrated. So 2 more plays here. Those 2 were zone, right? They're showing a mug look on third down. They're dropping out in zone. Again, my first suggestion or thought would be I want to avoid these third down situations altogether. You can't to a certain extent. NFL defenses are that good. We've got a similar dynamic to what we talked about earlier, somewhat of a mug look, but the nickel DB is up here, and they're going to bring him off the edge. This is when they decide, okay, we're not going to let you scramble. From a possession standpoint, this is on the 5th possession, so it's after the scramble occurred. I feel like the progression of things with Lamar versus Tomlin and whoever the defense coordinator is normally this. If he starts scrambling and moving around, then we're going to bring more pressure. And that's just to get the ball out of his hands. We're fortunate that we get a DPI here. I think it's up here, or maybe it's a hold on Porter. I like Porter. I remember these guys when they came out in the draft, and I watched a lot of film of them, and I was like, man, I really like Joe Porter, but he does grab and hold a lot. There was 3 other situations in this game where they could have called this. He's definitely a guy that, has that as an issue. Lamar's trying to get the ball to Zay, but I think he's working through possibly accessing Andrews. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see what I'm talking about. The problem is Ramsey's in that window, and Lamar, in my opinion, at times has to just be a little bit more prepared for this look, which is you've got to get the ball out immediately. Your default position on these third downs might need to be, let me take the quick access. Actually, like you just kind of said, Sarah, except some of those were on play action. This is obviously not. Lamar tends to be a high to low read guy, I think, is maybe a simplistic way of putting it. And in some of these 3rd and 8s, I think he's got to reverse course or change gears maybe and look for the shorter stuff more instantly. I think that we could throw this football to Zay. We actually don't do a bad job, I think, protecting him here and giving him an opportunity to throw this football. This is the nickel DB blitzing off the edge. Ali is in the game. I don't think this is the point in time where Mitchell's hurt, so we only have Ali and Henry. Are we all right on time, Bobby? I see you looking. Sorry.
Nope, it's all good. I just saw Phillip Rivers is actually getting signed legitimately by Indianapolis, so it caught my attention.
Crazy.
Unreal.
You got to think that there's familiarity with the offensive scheme and the terminology. That's my guess.
He's 44. I love it. And what else can they do? And they got to sell tickets. Daniel Jones is down with the Achilles. Riley Leonard, right? He's done with an injury. So
yeah,
it's kind of their and the trade deadline's come and gone. They can't call up Flacco. So there you go.
They always say old men got one more fight in them. So
you know what's going to be hilarious? Not to get down a rabbit hole here. If he ends up playing a snap for them, his Hall of Fame candidacy or the eligibility is about to be delayed for another 5 years. So this dude loves it.
And he was going to be eligible in 26.
Right.
Yep.
I believe his first game, if he plays this week, unfortunately for him, is against the Seattle Seahawks.
Oof.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
Mike Mack.
Mike Mack's licking his
Mike
chop.
Mack's be like, you want to come out of retirement? Let me send you back.
That is a group of, I mean, when you watch the film and you if you've ever been around defense, whatever the sport is, you take a little bit of pride. You're like, holy moly, these guys do things the right way. They get after the ball. Yeah. Good luck, Phillip Rivers. So I think this ball could be out quicker, but sometimes you say that or people say that and it's like, oh, you're criticizing Lamar. I think he's thinking about Andrews and just not recognizing what this is. It's easy for us to watch the film and say what this is. Oh, it's a heavy pressure scheme. It's cover zero. Lamar might need to operate from the default position of, let me deal with cover zero first, if that's what shows up. And in the 1.2 to 1.7 seconds after the snap, when he's deciding what it is and then where the open space would be, we can get the ball out sooner. I think he's looking for this, but we do have like routes kind of bunching up together here in Hopkins being held, whatever it was, by JPJ. I think this might be the one where Hopkins kind of, he did a nice job of playing it off. He did a nice job of making sure that the refs knew. Andrews is kind of running into that, and Lamar's getting the ball out to Flowers. It ends up being a really nice close by Jalen Ramsey. My point is, because they change the looks so often, they are absolutely creating confusion in Lamar. And at the same time, as we talked about when I just joined in, or you guys were discussing, the offensive line stinks, so he doesn't trust them.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got, I think, a really toxic situation there from what happens after the snap. Does Lamar need to get better there sometimes? Okay, fine, sure, whatever. We could do things to help him, in my opinion. We could do things to make the game simpler and easier, maybe be a little more conservative at times. Maybe some of our third and fours, third and fives need to be run plays, screens, or draws, and recognize we're trying to win this game we're basically trying to beat them at their own game. Shorten the game, by keeping the clock running and settle for field goals at time. I know that that's an unpopular opinion, especially in this day and age. But so you got two plays of zone that I showed you. This one, the high pressure, so diametrically opposed to we want each other, right? One of them like 10, plus 10 on a number line. One of them like minus 10. And so this one, first possession, in fact, and it's a great throw from Lamar to Zay. I think this is a wheel that's in motion. It's on a third down, right? One thing that I worry about actually, how do they track coverages? So you got a lot of parameters or a lot of columns to think about. Field and boundary, hash, left hash, right hash, personnel, and then down and distance. What are they playing in all of those situations? How come we're not better as the game progresses? It doesn't seem like to me. We're not better at having an idea of what's happening post-snap. To me, the last 3 or 4 weeks, it really seems like there's a lot of plays where we're running man routes. That doesn't apply to this because it actually is man. But the team's dropping out in zone.
Mm.
And there's no adjustment by our receivers to make themselves available. It happened a lot. Maybe I should have shown one of them on the first 2 plays, but I actually do like the concept, and this maybe illustrates my point. It's designed to beat man. Andrews running right to left against, I believe that's Chuck Clark, but no, that's James Pierre. My apologies. And then Flowers here. Bateman actually chipped the OLB. So we had that tight alignment. He's going to chip. He doesn't really run the route, to be honest with you. Bateman's kind of slow playing it. Lamar's already made his decision, put it out there to Zay. I really wondered if they were going to call that incomplete upon review. I think that's the one that got reviewed, and it was held up. So they give him a lot to process, and they test our offensive line. It's no surprise, shouldn't be a surprise, that where they tested us, even think about the last play of the game where Lamar takes the sack. They beat us with a stunt that's designed to go at our right guard. So it's basically a big neon sign. Hey, run a stunt to this side, and we're going to have trouble, dealing with it. And we certainly do. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think most of the problem here is Lamar Jackson at all. And maybe that's because he's my favorite player. And maybe that's because I've watched so much film on him. Are there things that he could do better? 100%. And sometimes it's processing things post-snap. I think that we should try to avoid those third down situations as much as possible, maybe even play a more conservative game plan and recognize we're not going to blow this team out. No matter maybe Aaron Rodgers doesn't even play in the last week of the season, for whatever reason, injury, God forbid for him. But I still don't think we walk into Pittsburgh and we beat this team by 14 points. It's not that type of situation. This, again, the boxing analogy for me fits. They're a boxer that your style is not going to overcome their style. You're going to have to beat them at their own game, and they're good at it. Credit to Tomlin and those guys, what they do. I don't know if I got to the point here, so sorry, but the idea was illustrate the different coverages they play and how they execute them. Even though they just got rid of Slay, they moved Ramsey to safety. I think signed Chuck Clark during the season, right?
Yep.
Or so they've kind of patchworked it together, and they were able to execute. I think we could be better at some of the things we do, certainly.
Hey, last thing for me, Coach. Are you seeing a limited route tree from Bateman since he returned from that high ankle sprain?
Yeah, it doesn't seem, we did get the 18-yard reception to him on like a vertical deep curl, deep comeback, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it doesn't even seem like we're that focused on getting the ball to him. I feel like he operates really well when we're under center.
There's
with
another
play
guy
action.
that Harbaugh. Yeah, there's another guy that Harbaugh wants to get involved too, based on yesterday's press conference that you see on the screen here with Hopkins and the limited usage there too.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of 2023 when we had OBJ and Bateman almost as security blankets for each other because of the injury concerns. Okay, if one of them goes down, at least we got the other guy available. But what it ended up doing was suppressing both of their opportunities and overall numbers. I think the quality of play that Bateman gave us in 2023 was somewhat in line with 2024. He just didn't get, as many opportunities. I would like to see him more involved. I think at some point, there's just so many guys. There's only one football to go around.
Yeah.
Coach, I guess I always like to putting a button on it for those that are not, film junkies is from what I saw, whether it was in zone or man or whatever, they're just trying to create confusion pre-snap, post-snap. In the zone, they show a mug look and, have the simulated pressure. But a lot of people say, oh, that's confusing Lamar, but you show that it's confusing the line. It's confusing the receivers. It's there's no adjustments on all the levels. And so it's maybe that's why you're asking for a more conservative look, because maybe they're just not advanced enough to adjust on the fly.
At that level. I mean, obviously they're way above anything I understand, but through watching the film 2, 3, 4 times, I can figure stuff out. That's the level that I'm on. So I would say that we seem less capable of adapting our routes against zone than I've ever seen before for this Ravens team. And that is a little surprising to me. I don't have any data to support that. Just, some of the things that he either showed here or present on my channel, it seems to really throw us off when a team drops out in zone, whether it's Lamar, whether it's the receivers, the tight ends. We do not seem prepared, especially for cover 2. I don't know what Lamar's stats look like against cover 2 lately. Let's do the last 4 or 5 weeks. I would bet there's no explosive plays down the field, and probably no turnovers other than the interception he threw against the Tampa 2, but that was irregular. Right? He's trying to loft it over the corner to Rasheen Ali after break and contain. So my point is we are not I don't think we're presenting much danger to zone defenses, and I think we're just going to keep seeing more of it.
And you think the exposing tape goes all the way back to Monday Night Football against the Lions?
Well, they're different. I mean, yes, to an extent, the Lions play a lot of man. And so, different. That's just their philosophy. That's what they do. And that's what they play best. When they do slide out into a zone against us, it was effective to memory. I don't have any data to really support that. It just seems like, especially the Jets game seemed to be one where I was like, why are we having so much trouble finding anyone to access in zone? And even when we do get time, there's nothing down the field at all. I don't even know where to look to find stats against cover 2, but it doesn't specifically cover 2 on third down. It does for me. I do not remember us getting anything done productively against that. And to me, that would indicate we're not prepared for that situation, unfortunately.
And maybe this question is too big for you to put in just kind of put a bow on things. Why were the Ravens so able to dominate the Steelers last year with their last 2 games, last one in the regular season and the postseason, and then struggle this badly? Is there one thing that we can say here's a major difference of the major step back? I
guess 1A and 1B would be the option game. I felt like our option plays even in this game, we had 2 successful ones, I believe, where Lamar keeps it and gets a first down.
On the right-hand side, right? They were attacking the right-hand side.
I feel like our option plays are best into the boundary, the short side of the field, even though the NFL hashes are really tight together. I think they're 18 feet, 6 inches apart, whereas high school, they're 53 feet apart. So it's when people say into the boundary, they're like, it's not a big deal in the NFL. Well, tell me why certain concepts are run into the boundary, but never run to the field. For us, our most effective option concepts generally are to the boundary, and we're not running them a ton. I think I saw 2, quote, read option looks against the Steelers. They did not, and when we did show them, they didn't appear prepared for it. If we're trying to win the game against them to go 9-8 in the last game of the season, let's say we're both 8-8 going in, and the winner wins the division, I think we got to be under center, play action, under center run game, and option stuff, and be more conservative. And I'm talking about 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, either running the football or more conservative play calls, screens, etc., to people not named Zay Flowers, because that does become saturated at some point, and recognize we may have to win this game 17-14, but a win will be a win at that point. I don't know what your perspective is. A part of me would be happy with that, and part of me would be like, we got to watch this team play in the playoffs.
Right.
That might be possible as long as like the opening play, Aaron Rodgers isn't hitting DK Metcalf for 50 yards or whatever it was. Then it's like, can we be conservative when they're hitting stuff like that? True.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're at some point we're down this week 17-3. So I reckon, that's a real dynamic. So what did Harbaugh say yesterday? People in my Ravens Discord shared it, and I just didn't get time to really look into it. Because you wanted to talk about that, right, Bobby, or no?
Yeah, we actually, from a timing perspective, we covered that prior to getting you on, so we could get you in and out as quickly as we could on your end, because I know you got a ton going on. But he used the word exceptional for his guard play
in the run game. Yeah.
I feel like he needs a cue card. Like, I feel like he needs a note card, like, a college speech class or something. Here's my note card in front of me with 7 words I want to make sure I mention, and I can avert my eyes there. And like maybe some that he don't mention. Maybe you don't mention exceptional, execution, consistent, NFL level, elite, starting guard quality play.
The messaging was protective yet again. I have the part of the transcription in front of me. All in all, I thought the offensive line played well. I thought the 2 tackles played 2 of their best games. I thought the guards played exceptionally well in the run game. They were moving people. You're going to want to plug your ears. They were wearing people out. I thought they were mostly good in the pass game, but too inconsistent probably. Every player has plays they want back. And he did cite, to his credit, he did cite a couple both from Voorhees and Roger with TJ on at least one of them. And mostly Daniels was the one that was singled out the most, where he was critical. Yeah. But you hear the ones that the lines and the adjectives that were used there.
Yeah, it's almost like a Baghdad Bob situation for me at this point with Harbaugh. Like, the tanks are behind you, dude. We're there, and you cannot lie to us at this point. And so I just, it's difficult to. I think I said this before on you guys' show. I get the blessing to be able to pay attention to the Lions and the Ravens, and I don't have time to watch the press conferences. But people in the Ravens Discord and people in the Lions Discord share what the coaches say. Man, the difference. Dan Campbell's like, hey, this is my fault. We thought we could do this. We could not. I mean, there's a directness, an openness, maybe a vulnerability that Harbaugh just seemed, I think, Sarah, you said it, like, or maybe it was you, Bobby, protective. Man, it's past time for protective.
Well, as you see here, speaking of Detroit and everything else that you do in the command center, let everybody know what you got coming up. You've already dropped several videos, several studies since Ravens Steelers, and you can be found, as always, in the YouTube space at all_22_films for Ravens breakdowns, plural. What you got coming up?
Well, I try to cycle through the teams, and it's very difficult to not watch the Seahawks defense because they're so impressive. When I have the film and an audience that wants to see it, I'm like, my God, it's a different player every week. They drafted like their own Kyle Hamilton clone, Amanwari, who's playing exceptionally well. And like every week, Seahawks fans are like, "Can you give us some Man Worry film?" I'm like, man, I just did one of those 3 days ago. So I've tried to rely on like
here it is
suggestions.
right here. Look at the
Yeah.
views you're totaling up, Coach. Look at you go.
Oh no, man, it's a struggle at this point. I don't even know how to produce content that's not 30 minutes long. I need to cut it up and do two
We're in the
smaller.
same boat.
Yeah.
Hey, you see what I've been up to over here. Look at this. I've already ripped through both of these in the last 24 hours. So good stuff.
Yeah, I want to start chaptering things where like a play breakdown is chaptered up, and it's kind of like once I get through one, I'm on to the next one.
Yeah.
I'm very good at trying to do too many things. Always have been.
We've been asked about chapters as well. It's one of those things that I think is the next part of the evolution of the channel and whatnot. But we will make sure we link to the channel as always, my man. You're always generous with your time, so thank you. Best of luck with the rest of your week's content, and wherever you end up after your wit's end, a mile down the road, just let us know so we can describe that better and I can articulate it next time.
All right, man. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Later.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Derek Coleman from Ravens All 22 Film Analysis. Oh, that Baghdad analogy. I'm going to be thinking about that one for a long time. If you guys want to go sub up to him, please consider doing so. He just gave us close to an hour. I think it was about 45 minutes of pure content that obviously time and generosity and expertise goes into that. So please, if you could, I'm going to drop a couple different things into live chat right now. His YouTube channel, if you want to go sub up, and I'll also go throw his Twitter in there as well. If you guys want to share a little thank you to him, we'd appreciate that. And as always, Sarah, top-notch stuff.
Absolutely. Let's get to some quick hits and some super chats and quick hits. And then I have, for those that don't know it, an AI overview of what Baghdad Bob is all about.
That's insane. I had never heard that. Captain says the article about him, John called him out. Ronnie called him out, kind of. We already
did this one
earlier on, which was related to the Todd Monken discussion. Richard says, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. The offensive line played well. Rave, and this is all the response to John's commentary yesterday on the O-line. Rave says, ego, Sarah, ego.
By the way, he's not saying I have an ego. He's saying John Harbaugh has an ego, and he wants me to admit that that's why. I mean, whatever. It's like you said. What'd you say like a couple weeks ago that it's gotten stale? Yeah.
What's stale?
Rave pushing the same thing on the ego.
Oh, yeah. And he knows it. I told him to his face the other day.
Yeah, that's what
Richard, and I love him, but it's true.
I mean, it doesn't matter why it's happening. It's just happening. I just want it to stop. I don't care why. Just put in Emery, please.
Richard
says, everyone who's quote unquote negative feels the same. Prove me wrong.
Captain says these route concepts are disgusting. That was in reaction to Coach's breakdown of what he was seeing on film. Rave also says, did you hear him, Bobby? 22 films is telling the truth. In what regard, Rave?
I think I saw that comment was when he was saying Lamar, he didn't see him as inaccurate, maybe more drops.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was definitely interesting because I could think of a couple.
I mean, obviously the interception was on Lamar.
And I wasn't even talking about the pick. I was talking about the layups. One to Derrick Henry, one to Rasheem, both of which were in the flats that he makes 99 times out of 100. That came to my mind. But obviously there were drops as well. None more egregious than Bateman on third down in the red zone. Captain says the small misses are being overblown in the national media. It seems like Todd can't adjust on the fly. He needs halftime to get the offense running. And Sick Nasty Nate is here.
What's funny is I felt like he was adjusting well early in the season, but maybe it's they've figured out the Tampa too. I don't know. And they've got to find an answer to that one. Sick says majority of TJ's tackles for loss, ignoring Lamar as a runner.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate you guys for being with us. Thanks to those of you who are weighing in via Super Chats. Let's get to some quick hits, beginning with Ben Cleveland. We knew this was coming. It was just a matter of when. And now, starting in Week 15, this Sunday against Cincinnati, will be the first of 3 games that Ben, without pay, is serving a suspension. This stems from the DUI arrest back in February, Sarah. He did receive, as you see Jeff note here, I should say he finalized a plea bargain. He received probation as a result. He's been a healthy scratch now for weeks. And basically the Ravens last night relayed the announcement from the National Football League. So Ben has obviously been a non-factor, Sarah. He's only logged 3 offensive snaps, some special teams here and there. And now Ben, at least for the next 3 weeks, for the next 3 weeks, will not be available to them as he serves the suspension.
And I believe he can't even be on campus, right?
I don't know. I actually don't know the specifics of that, but that would make sense. If it's without pay, why would you be in the building?
Yeah.
So anyway, that is that. And Nnamdi Madubuike was mentioned yet again at a John Harbaugh press conference. Jeff followed up on this. It had been a while since John was asked about it. And the quote is one thing. Listening to it is another. I'm just going to go ahead and play this, Sarah, if you don't mind, because, again, man, it is so ominous. Listen to this.
About a while. Has there been any clarity on Nnamdi Madubuike's situation? Do you know any more about that you can share?
No, not that I can share. There's a lot going on there. It's with Nnamdi, and I'd love to share some stuff, but I can't share it right now.
Best wishes there. So you hope all is well in his world, Sarah. We shared a quick hit. I think it was earlier this week from Nnamdi's
the game.
Silence broken, if you will, over the weekend on Instagram. What did you say it was? Was it crystal ball emojis?
Crystal ball emojis, yeah.
Yeah, just very, very cryptic, very uncertain, very ominous, and you just hope the best for the player at this point, who we know has not played in 2 months. He's dealing with a neck. We don't even know if there's been a procedure. The last time we heard from John on this is that there wasn't a procedure that had been done at the time. So hopefully for his sake, Sarah, that something's been done to at least find a solution for him physically. And if that's not the case, man, that even further makes this thing confusing. So anyway, just so that we're being thorough, that's that. As far as Keaton is concerned, remember his Instagram story suggested with the caption, "I'm good, we good, can't stop, won't stop," that he avoided a major injury. That was confirmed by John Harbaugh. He's day-to-day.
And John Harbaugh used day-to-day for Nate Wiggins the week before. And we were like, should we interpret that as week to week? And then Nate Wiggins was back. So hopefully Keaton has the same fate ahead.
Yep. So day-to-day for him. As far as Kalshi's concerned, they've been doing some fishy work, by the way, partnering up, I guess, I saw a front office sports article that they're partnering with fake aggregators whose entire purpose online is to push misinformation. So that was quite the article. But Kalshi has the Ravens at 33%, their odds to make the postseason. Kansas City's below that at 17% after losing to Houston. Cincinnati's, they got to have it on Sunday, 8% after losing to the Bills in snowy Buffalo.
Meaning mathematically, they literally have to have, they've had a win already. All these 3 teams have to have it. But are you saying mathematically if they lose, they're out?
Oh, no, I don't know that. But I assume they're what? They have 9 losses, don't they? So they could best finish 9-8.
How do these guys still have life? You sometimes wonder.
What's wild is that 9-8 could win this gosh darn division when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
4 weeks from now.
Yeah. Steelers could absolutely stumble a couple of times. So we'll see. But anyway, and this is kind of the point. It just belabors what I've said in the past, that it's so frustrating that the Ravens are having a down year in this year where so many people are having down years. Sam, I have his name cut off, but Sam of ESPN, Block. What'd you say?
Block.
Okay. Thank you. Writes it perfectly. He says Chiefs are 6-7, Ravens are 6-7, Bengals are 4-9. You don't trust the Broncos. You don't trust the Pats. You don't trust the Jags. Bills are hot and cold. Texans are unproven. Chargers are banged up. Steelers are inconsistent. Colts lost Daniel Jones and apparently are bringing back, how old did you say he is? 44? 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, who is going to win the AFC. It's probably, there's only 2 things that like make me keep hope alive, but it's not like abounding hope at this point, but it's hope. It's that Lamar Jackson could become Super Bowl, or it could become Superman because Emory Jones goes in at right guard, which I guess that's really just not going to happen. And the second thing is the field. It's like everybody could stumble at any moment.
It's the worst AFC North division that I can remember in the 8-9 years that I've been covering this team.
And maybe the worst AFC conference?
Maybe. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look closer at that, but I think I can confidently say that the AFC North, which just we're 2 years, Sarah, we're 2 years removed from 3 teams being in the postseason within the division.
Yeah.
Now it's a joke. Now you got people around the league looking at it like nobody deserves to be in the playoffs, and you can see where they're coming from. That's not
that's
how the rules work.
That's what down quarterback play will do for your division.
Bengals have had down defense, even though
but even when they've had bad defense, same for the Ravens. It's like, when Lamar and Burrow are healthy, it's a different division.
No Trey Hendrickson moving forward, so the Ravens will not see him. They didn't see him on Thanksgiving night. They won't see him this weekend. He's set to undergo core muscle surgery this week. It's going to sideline him 6 weeks. It's been a very complicated situation between him and the ownership there, dating all the way back to the offseason.
He's had a crazy year, tumultuous.
Big, remember, this is the reigning leading sack getter, which will obviously, Miles is going to run away with that this year. He's got as many as, he's like doubling up maybe not doubling up, but he's beating whole teams, collective teams individually through 14, 15 games or what are we? We're entering week 15. So through 14 weeks. This was scary just on a personal level. T. Higgins is re-entering concussion protocol. He was not available Thanksgiving night for Cincinnati. And now it's up in the air whether or not that continues to be the case for the rematch this weekend at Cincy's place. So this will be one to watch when you take a look at what Joe Burrow has at his disposal. And there was a lot of talk around why the heck he wasn't taken out of that game earlier.
It's tough when you get a concussion on top of a concussion. I mean, it's I highly doubt he's going to play this week when he got his second one, right when he just returned. And I feel bad for him. And speaking of concussions, Coach had asked if we had an update on Malik Harrison. Brooke Pryor, a little over an hour ago, reported that Mike Tomlin said he is in concussion protocol right now. So hasn't been cleared yet.
Oof, man, the more the T. Higgins thing, the NFL's definitely made strides in concussion protocol regulations over the years, but man, you read the optics around or you read some of the tea leaves on this and the coverage talking points on the beat community side of things.
Yeah.
Not great optics. Hope the best for him.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, that's scary. He was asked, matter of fact, after the game, why he played through some of the really difficult falls that he took. And he was quoted for saying, "I'm a team first guy." Admirable, but
don't put your head on the line.
There's the medical staff involved in that.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to speculate too much, but that's what's coming up this week, and one thing that we'll be monitoring for Ravens Bengals in the rematch. Speaking of matchups, week 16, mark your calendars accordingly. Sarah, I thought we were done with prime time. There's another one coming up. It's Sunday Night Football. Patriots Ravens, which was originally scheduled for 1:00 on the 21st, has been flexed into the prime time window. Drake May, Lamar Jackson.
It'll be fun, Bobby.
It'll be fun. No doubt.
Fun.
And it wasn't all that long ago that Tom Brady and Lamar faced off on a Sunday Night Football game in Lamar's first full season as a starter, his first MVP season back in 2019. New England came to Baltimore unbeaten at the time, and the Ravens smacked him in the mouth that night. I'll never forget it. Make sure you don't forget this.
It's for a repeat.
So 8:20. That's what's coming up. Week 16 or 16 or 15.
16. Week 16.
Thank you. Week 16. That's what's coming up.
And we already talked about. We just talked about it with Coach that Phillip Rivers is being signed.
Book it.
Book it.
That. That's official. He last played in a game. Last played in a game, January 9th of 2021.
And I forgot about this. The Chargers last night, Monday Night Football, they won. But the reason why we're bringing it up is because Tony Jefferson continues, like Joe Flacco, to just live the dream. This man retired. He was in the front office with the Ravens. He's been back and forth between California and Baltimore. And he goes out there and he has the game-sealing interception against the Eagles. Good for him.
Really happy for him. Chargers are down both of their tackles, and yet very squarely involved in the playoff picture in the AFC. As for Philadelphia, you guys want to feel a little bit better about the team that you love? Maybe just go watch the Eagles. They are miserable right now.
They're a mess.
Miserable. And the coverage following the team, I don't think toxic is the right word. Doesn't justify just how difficult it's been in Philadelphia.
I haven't been following. But Bobby, Baghdad Bob, which coach just brought up, is a nickname for Muhammad Saeed al-Sahaf, Saddam Hussein's Iraqi information minister, famous for his wildly inaccurate, defiant press briefings during the 2003 Iraq invasion, claiming Iraqi victories while U.S. forces advanced, earning him global mockery as a propagandist who denied obvious realities. That's who Baghdad Bob is, that coach was referencing there. He feels like that's what's being done with the offensive line situation, particularly with Daniel Fa'alele.
Generational analogy there from coach. Yes. You cannot make that stuff up.
2003. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed this, but you always hold your AirPod case.
Yeah, it's my nervous Nelly thing.
Yeah, but you know what? So I just got new ones. So I usually have like a case over it with an air tag or something, because I lose them like 50 times a day. But I kind of wish I could just keep it this way, because I had it here and I saw you pick it up and I was like, let me pick this up. And it really is. It feels good in the hands.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys
do it now.
I didn't even know that was like
noticeable?
A known thing that people probably realize just by watching us, that there's a nervous tick when, there's 4,101 people looking at me right now. So it's like,
oh, you get nervous from that?
Well, no, I was
going to say,
when I say a nervous tick, there's a sense of urgency that comes with it.
Oh.
And so I really want to always speak with articulation and matter-of-factly and all those things, right? And I think with that goes into the show that we do, I just like something that I can kind of fidget with.
Yeah.
And that's what it is for me. It's this. My aunt literally gave me a worry stone. This is a worry stone right here.
Oh.
And I keep it on my laptop every single day. And when I'm on the air, I kind of just fidget with it.
I never saw the worry stone before. Boy, are we different. My husband bought me a book called The Gift of Fear to try to get me to like lean into fear a little bit more because I don't have any. And he's saying sometimes like we're given a fear reaction for a reason. It's supposed to warn us. So he like bought me that book. I never read it. I'm like, I don't want to invite fear in. So I do not have a worry rock or anything like that. But this is fun in my hands. I don't think it's about worrying. It's just fun in my hands.
Well, here's what's funny. You may have taken it literally in terms of the.
Oh, I did. So you're not actually worrying. You just like the fidgeting.
I think it's simply. Yeah, it's simply how I'm wired. I'm not sitting here looking over my shoulder every second. I'm not, scared of my own shadow. I think it's just,
I know.
It's maybe it is a level of anxiety, perhaps.
Yeah.
But to me, I don't know how. It's hard to explain, but I didn't ask for it either, right? Like this was given to me by my aunt, so maybe she's looking at me and being like, "God, this guy needs help." That could very well be the case. I don't know. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, I got you.
Literally.
I got you. And by the way, I do have fears. Just wanted to say to the chat, I do have fears. There's levels of how much fear takes over your day-to-day life, and I think my husband would like more.
It's hysterical. Ibuprofen says Bobby's a leg shaker for show. A leg shaker. Look, that it is a nervous tick. I don't know how else to describe it, but don't take it literally. Like I'm not nervous. I feel really good about 4,183 people looking at us right now. I love public speaking.
Of course.
Yeah. So
all right.
Anyway. Leah Couples and BG Method, thank you both for believing in what we're building. We appreciate you for the support that you give us on a monthly basis through Patreon. Hope you guys are great, enjoying your holiday seasons. And again, thanks for all the love that you give us through Patreon. It's patreon.com/RavensVault podcast to learn more. And we've got a couple more super chats on our way out here.
Couple super chats. Dream says Ben sitting behind 77 is already a suspension. The Ravens have literally not used him. And then Captain Hard says maybe one more loss out of division we can afford.
Maybe.
And then go ahead.
Maybe. Just reiterating his word there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And this
'Cause
isn't
then
an
it's gonna
official
depend on what
super chat.
Pittsburgh does.
Right. And this is not an official super chat, but Femi just texted. He's a little bit behind the show. He says Vegas has no influence on the NFL, no matter how egregious. I actually do agree with it. I think more sometimes you can get to specific people, but not. I'm skeptical that it gets all the like it has the NFL as people kind of imply. But the reason why I brought that up is Femi's coming on the show tomorrow at 12:30 and has he texted us in all caps. Let me cook.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be interesting.
Tomorrow.
Looking forward to that for sure. He's always looking out for us all the time, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason why we brought up or were receptive to the gambling side of things is because of what we said. And just to reiterate what we said earlier on in the show, it was when these inconsistencies become consistent, it opens it up for interpretation. It opens up the possibility. And I think that's all. I think, right? Is that a good way of putting a pin, putting a bow on what we were discussing earlier on as it relates to that?
Sure. Mostly because I just got to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's exactly what we were saying. But yeah, we do got to go. It's over 90 minutes, and we will catch up with you guys tomorrow with Femi at 12:30. Thanks to Coach Coleman. If you guys haven't already done so, would love for you to go check out his YouTube channel at All22 Films. We appreciate his time. For Sarah Ellison, our wonderful brand sponsor, Manta Sleep, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Tuesday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I will be live with you in the next couple hours, late afternoon, and the collective returns tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern. Looking forward to it. We'll catch up with you guys on the vault here inside this vault tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern.